Youth Wild Rift.
We have gone through the best of the best.
It's now or never.
That was massive.
This is gonna be hype.
This is your moment to shine. It's down to this final play.
Bigger than me, you're not bigger than me. Big up on the streets, but I'm bigger on the scene. Yeah, bigger than me, you're not bigger than me. Nope.
Welcome to the Horizon Cup, where we expected out-of-this-world outplays, we expected hype pop-offs, and we even expected an upset or two, but I didn't think all of that would be delivered on day number one. What's up, everyone? I'm Daniel D. Gonzalez, holding down the analyst desk with TJ and Excoundrel. How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing very well. I'm on all day today, so it is International TJ Day. You can't stop me, you can stop me.
Wait, Excoundrel, aren't you going to be on all the time, too?
I'm on all day too, and I'm stuck in this screen, so you've got to worry about me a bit less than TJ.
Oh, and also, TJ, I'm going to be on all day too, so it's all of us International Day. That's what it is. Yeah.
I like that.
All right, well, let's get into the action. After day number one's matches, here's what the standings look like. And one thing that stands out to me is where the Southeast Asian teams stand and the Chinese teams that have taken their place at the top compared to predictions here.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that first table there. SBTC Esports, who were one of the tournament favorites, lost their match to Dakan Gaming yesterday. So a huge upset, but I think they're going to come back strong today.
Yeah, and TJ, another one is Thunder Talk Gaming finding themselves at the top despite roster swaps.
Yeah, it was a dangerous kind of set of roster swap coming in. They had visa issues, lost 3 players, but they kept their star. Z came in, rotated to the mid lane for this tournament and delivered. And Azure, their AD carry, their sub-AD carry, stepped up and went huge.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Azure overall. I was really impressed with Thunder Talk as well. Given those roster swaps, it was a huge expectation that they were really going to be at a diminished power level. I will say, though, I think a lot of people were expecting the Chinese teams to be this good. I think they knew the pedigree of mobile esports that they had in their region, and a lot of people knew that China would come in really strong to the Horizon Cup. They're just proving it already on the first day.
Yeah, they definitely are. And another major reason why we may have seen Thunder Talk succeed was this meta shift that we saw to Baron lane carries, TJ.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how we felt about that because there was so much emphasis earlier in the tournament towards, or in earlier tournaments towards the bottom lane. But as Excoundrel was kind of setting up for us, it's all about the Baron lane here.
Yeah, as we kind of talked about, there's a bit of a shift in the way the meta's played right now. We had the introduction of 2 Rift Heralds. It's delayed the Baron. It also has altered timings for Dragon fights as well. And that has unlocked more split pushing potential. And of course, by proxy, that unlocks Baron laners. And that has really been the prediction from a lot of analysts coming into this tournament. Baron lane is going to be the lane that is going to dominate. Now, of course, when we looked over at Thunder Talk, it wasn't exactly their Baron laner that was doing the split pushing. It was Huiba in the jungle. But realistically, from what I've seen on the first day, it's only Thunder Talk that is currently capitalizing on that. They are the first team I've really seen in Wild Rift Esports that have properly executed and delivered on a split push strategy.
Well, TJ, what are some of the units that have been kind of important in this new meta shift?
Well, we've seen obviously the focus towards that top lane, the Darius, the Renekton's getting very high priority, Fiora almost 100% ban. For us, though, in terms of characters that have been played, we were very impressed by Galio, we were very impressed by Lucian. Galio, of course, saw huge performances as both support and mid laner, massive AP in the late game. And Lucian, if yesterday's results are anything to judge by, may be the AD carry to beat.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Now let's turn to the schedule and let's go bottom up. We've got Thunder Talk returning to face Japan's Sengoku Gaming at the end of the day with DKG versus TSM and Team Secret versus Ebro ahead of them. But game one's very interesting to me because it welcomes back a tournament favorite, SBTC, that faltered in day number one. Now, TJ, a month ago, you were extremely confident about SBTC, so much that you shared it with the public. So I gotta ask you, are you still flexing about them being tournament favorites?
Yeah, not only did I make this tweet, but this tweet actually got featured by the Vietnamese official Wild Rift Esports channel. They pulled it. They were like, TJ, fix this about our teams. And I will stand by it. I know everyone is, down on SBTC after a single loss, but it's not new for them. They quite frequently drop single games at the beginning of tournaments. And even though things went wrong for them yesterday, they'll bounce back today.
Excoundrel, diamond hands or paper hands, brother?
Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. I think they overthought their draft yesterday. I think they really outplayed themselves a little bit, and I think they're a little bit behind the way that Thunder Talk approached the game. Thunder Talk came in with a clear strategy. They had adapted to the new play style that not you have to play, but the new Rift Herald kind of spawns have unlocked in the game. And I think, unfortunately, SBTC were just a little bit behind. They were expecting to have to team fight for every dragon, and I think, you know, Dakun came in and said, no, we don't need to do that at all.
Well, I think a very specific thing went wrong yesterday, and it starts in the draft for me, the draft of game number 1, because SBTC have this kind of bread and butter style that they love to use. It's all about this draft over on the right-hand side, where you have the Twisted Fate in the middle setting up for gold card stuns with the Varus as well as the Darius to follow up behind it. You have so much CC that all revolves around those gold cards, and when they tried to draft it yesterday, they locked in the Darius, they locked in the Varus, and then they realized they were facing a Zed in the middle of the map. And SBTC didn't want to play a Twisted Fate into that, so they ended up in this weird draft where you have the beginnings of their full CC focus and then a pivot towards late game, pulling out things like the Graves, pulling out the Braum to play towards late game team fighting, but it's a half step and one that threw them off.
Yeah, and Excondrel, you've kind of brought up the point when we saw this draft, you weren't so deterred about the Zed versus TF matchup.
No, I actually don't think Zed versus TF, like individually on a one-on-one matchup, of course, post 5, it's terrible for Twisted Fate. But what I would say is that if you're picking Twisted Fate, you're not picking him for lane dominance. You're not picking him to be able to kill Zed. He's supposed to influence the map and supposed to kind of like, as TJ said, individual lockdown in team fights. You can queue up gold card even if the Zed does use his ultimate and then pin him down. But TF has always been about map pressure and map presence. And that's not exactly the matchup that you're worried about if you're going into Zed specifically. But I actually think when you look at that draft, they pivoted because they kind of built an anti-melee comp. Like we saw that in one of the Dragon fights. They actually won versus Dakun Gaming in a Dragon fight because they had a really strong anti-melee comp with the Diana, the Braum, the Darius, and the addition of the Graves as well, which is a strong anti-melee jungler. But they just never got the option to team fight, and that was the problem. They built this team fight comp, but never got the option to actually team fight because Dakun knew they couldn't engage on them because of how strong the 5v5 was. And they did eventually when they were so far ahead in gold that it didn't matter. But realistically, they just didn't get to play the game the way they didn't get to play the game the way they wanted to. Sorry, it's early in the morning for me getting my words out.
No worries. Hey, look, TJ doesn't seem too worried about yesterday's loss, and neither does SBTC's Akeno. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Tụi em thấy cũng không có gì phải gọi là quá buồn cả, và tụi em sẽ cố gắng cho những trận sau để thể hiện lại bản thân của mình. Nói chung là cái cảm giác buồn đó sẽ qua nhanh, tại vì tụi em phải tập trung cho trận đấu sau và tụi em.
SBTC fancy a bit of this, but they realize the backup is coming. It doesn't matter when they pick up the Rakan so quickly.
Tụi em sẽ cố gắng thể hiện để cho mọi người nhìn nhận về Việt Nam mình một cách tốt nhất. WRE là một trong 3 đội mà team em đánh giá là rất là cao trong mùa giải lần này. Phải về nhà chuẩn bị nhiều bài dở hơn để chiến đấu với họ.
So, interesting thing there that we got to see is that they count ROLSTER Y as one of the top 3 strongest teams. Obviously, they don't want to dwell on the loss to DK, but I think that is so interesting compared to what we expect out of this squad.
Yeah, I mean, doing some quick math, that means that they think one of the 2 Chinese teams, assuming they're also counting themselves in the top 3, one of the 2 Chinese teams are not in their own top 3, which is kind of interesting from SBTC.
Yeah, well, ROLSTER Y, who make it from Korea, they make their Horizon Cup debut, and my League of Legends PC brain is telling me they should be favorites because they're from Korea, right? Is that how it works?
Not so much in Wild Rift, because we did a little preseason tournament where we had the best teams in China, the WPL, play off against the best teams in Korea, the WCK.
Okay.
And at that event, the WCK got absolutely smashed. ROLSTER was the only team that took games off of any of the WPL rosters. They won a series over BLG, easily the weakest team there from the WPL. And they took a single game off of OMG in the otherwise clean sweep finals. But they have a long way to go if they want to match those Korean expectations on the world stage.
Right. Excondrel, what's the road to success then for this ROLSTER roster?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think given their performance at the show match that TJ was talking about, there were low expectations, but word on the ground, scrims, and some of the competitors out there, we may be looking at a different beast in KT ROLSTER coming into this particular tournament. I'm very excited for the prospects of this Korean team, specifically in the power of Ratel, their Baron laner. We've talked about the Baron lane meta and how impactful it's going to be at this tournament, where you have got a standout Baron lane carry. He is easily, in my opinion, the star of this team. Look at him right here on the Irelia. Absolute monster, and I think we have to keep our eyes on this guy heading to the tournament.
Now, when you look at these two teams against each other, do you feel like this matches up?
I think it's a very good matchup in the top lane because Ratel is incredibly good. He gets a ton of resources from his team. And on the opposite side, you're playing into Yunero, who isn't the best top laner that's played on that SBTC roster, who has struggled domestically and doesn't get the same amount of attention from his jungle. So it's an opportunity for ROLSTER, who I think are the underdogs here, to blow open the top side of the map and force SBTC to respond, to get off their game.
Now, even though the fact that we're starting to hear they're picking up in scrims, that we heard from SBTC themselves, that, hey, ROLSTER is one of the top 3 teams in the tournament. We're not worried about, some of these changing things that are happening?
Yeah, I mean, things went messy for SBTC yesterday, but the analogy I would make is we saw this happen in the regional tournament as well, the Icon Series Grand Finals versus Team Secret, who are also here, SBTC. Basically the same thing that happened to them yesterday. They tried to draft their bread and butter composition, very similar to the composition I highlighted earlier that's very big in Vietnam, and it went wrong. They got absolutely bodied by the meta that Team Secret brought. Team Secret played towards the late game, brought out tanks, hyper carries like a Vayne, and it caught them completely off guard. But SBTC made the adjustment mid-series, came back, never happened again, clean swept the rest. And I do think Darkon are a much bigger threat than we thought. I do think they brought a meta yesterday around those Baron lane picks that Xscoundrel was talking about, around just the way and tempo at which they're playing, that is very scary. But I think SBTC can make the adaptations and catch up very quickly.
Xscoundrel?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a litmus test. This is going to be a really big litmus test, not only for SBTC, but also for KT. This series, to me, is going to be our most closely fought of the entire day. And I think the winner of this will give a real indicator about the sort of level of strength in this group. If SBTC lose here, I'm a little concerned, honestly. I'm a little concerned for them as being the SEA champions. And I think it might be even harder for them to come back from that and find their way out of groups.
Yeah, now, there's something about international play, right? Everyone develops their meta. We've already surmised, hey, when Korea played against China in the Rift Rivals-like tournament, they got smacked, right? But they're making their debut. They've seen SBTC, a tournament favorite, already wounded. Do you feel like there's an opportunity there for ROLSTER Y to step on a team that maybe isn't up to form, maybe a little bit behind the meta?
Well, I do think we got 2 new pieces of information. First of all, that little interaction that they had between the WPL and WCK means something different now that we know just how good the WPL teams are. They looked very impressive, and Korea looks less bad by comparison.
Sure.
The other thing is, I think Xscoundrel's right. I think today is where we figure out whether or not SBTC have come here to play, can bring the results that they had regionally to this international event, or whether or not they're going to fall to the likes of KT ROLSTER and the teams that are really competing at the highest level.
Well, we'll definitely find out very soon. And TJ, you're going to want to take a look at this. Check out our MasterCard fan predictions, where over 80% of the folks at home believe ROLSTER Y are taking the win today. The folks at home, that is a heavy vote, man.
I've figured it out. No, so what it is people in Twitch chat, they have very short memories.
People in Twitch chat.
They have very short memories. You all looked at the result yesterday and you're making a prediction based on it, and that's not how science is done. We have the control group, that was yesterday, and now we're going to start experimenting.
All right, well, it's time for our prediction.
We need peer review.
We can't peer review. You're the expert here, so I need your prediction here. We're going to go with Xscoundrel first because I have a feeling where you're going. Xscoundrel, who you got in this matchup for game 1 of the day?
2-1 KT. I think KT are going to surprise a lot of people. I've been hearing good things about them in scrims and their Baron laner Ratel. Maybe if they can execute this split push strategy, it's going to be good.
Quick, TJ.
I'm going to peer review that. No. 2-0 SBTC all the way.
All right, hey guys, well, thank you for your predictions. We'll see if this is another day for the underdogs or if the Titans will sit comfortably in their throne as we get Horizon Cup Day 2 underway. It's going to be a banger. Make sure you get everything you need at home to enjoy the whole day, the first international tournament in Wild Rift, the Horizon Cup, coming at you right now.
Best Wild Rift teams from around the world.
Different stages of esports building up to this moment.
We're about to witness history. Dakun facing TSM.
Weeba, he is becoming an unstoppable beast.
He might actually win this.
Oh my god, he gets the dog. Oh my god!
有点小紧张，就有一种我感觉有那种对胜利的渴望。
From Brazil, TSM.
O nosso time tem bastante histórico, na verdade, de começar atrás.
TSM are gonna find the ace and take the victory lap around Tribes Nexus.
Cada confiou no próprio time, a gente conseguiu virar o jogo.
SBTC honestly felt like they couldn't contend.
我觉得他们没有 SE 厉害，我觉得我们应该能很简单的拿下他们。
Cảm giác của em là một chút gì đó hơi gung gung nhưng mà nó rất là vui, được thỏa mãn cái đam mê của mình ấy, được đứng trên sân khấu, được đánh và cho nhiều người dưới xem ấy.
Favorites SBTC, who did get O2'd, so maybe not favorites anymore.
Nói chung là cảm giác buồn nó sẽ qua nhanh tại vì tụi em phải tập trung cho trận đấu sau.
He's gonna do it, it's Thunder Talk! They're gonna complete the sweep all the way back!
Thunder Talk Gaming, they've had a big shakeup in their roster. They've replaced 3 starting players.
This team is so exciting.
Team Secret versus Ebro Gaming to wrap up.
Realmente creo que salimos medio desconcertados, no dando lo mejor de nosotros.
Secret, it doesn't matter what the fight looks like, they're always gonna win it.
Sí creo que es uno de los equipos más fuertes, pero vamos a dar todo y vamos a salir a ganar, como siempre.
I've never breathed Wild Rift.
We have gone through the best of the best.
It's now or never.
That was massive.
This is gonna be hype.
This is your moment to shine.
It's down to this final play.
Bigger than me, you're not bigger than me. Big up on the streets, but I'm bigger on the scene. Yeah, bigger than me, you're not bigger than me. Nope.
It's day number 2 of the Wild Rift Esports Horizon Cup live from Suntech Convention Center. I'm Brandon. With me is Omo. We're taking a look at these two teams. We're back at it again. ROLSTER Y Line playing for the first time for us today. And SBTC showing up once again.
And I'm excited here, Brandon. The first game we get to cast, and I think it's gonna be a banger. We're gonna have 2 amazing teams here. ROLSTER Y from Korea, as well as SBTC from Vietnam. I think the exciting storyline that we have is SBTC. They're gonna be hungry for revenge here.
Absolutely. They need to get on the board. Southeast Asia weren't able to get a win yesterday. Today, that might just change. That has to change. Very happy boy. Has to change, as a matter of fact. That being said, though, ROLSTER Y still unplayed in this competition so far. This is their very first game for a lot of people. I think Skandra put it best. This is a litmus test for them, and I think you wanted to come up with a different analogy. This is the great filter.
It is a great filter. It's the litmus test, whatever you want to call it. I think that ROLSTER Y, a lot of people are looking down on this team, but I feel like, you know, Korea, a region with such a strong esports background, ROLSTER Y, a team that has the history in gaming, they're definitely going to come in strong. They're definitely going to come in ready to play, and I think that this is going to be the great filter for all the teams in their group. Can you beat ROLSTER Y? If you can, you have the potential to become a great team. If you can't, then you're probably just stuck in the middle of the pack. You need to be able to beat this team if you want to show off and prove you're the best.
Absolutely. For both sides, as a matter of fact, right? Especially because when you heard SBTC, you know, when they had that interview, they were talking about how ROLSTER were probably one of the top 3 in the competition.
Yes.
You know, I think that's a really valid point, and that means, you know, maybe they're kind of hedging their bets here. They're saying that if we lose to ROLSTER, well, guess what? We thought they were on the top 3 anyway, so maybe it's not so bad for us.
So covering themselves a little bit first, just in case anything goes wrong, right?
Absolutely, especially because Scrim Bucks are in play.
Yeah.
Scrim results have been in favor of ROLSTER Y, and so wait, we all know what happens when you start playing with Scrim Bucks. You know, the results
you
are
never
a little
really
bit
get to
inflated.
cash them in sometimes, right?
Exactly.
And I think that if we're talking about Scrim Bucks, I mean, we're already using the analogy. Let's run with it a little bit here. We've heard that Darken Gaming, one of the best teams here, if not the best team here by far in scrims, and it showed yesterday in gameplay. So ROLSTER Y coming in, people are saying they're the most improved team. Hopefully, like Darken before them, they get to show it off here today.
But I'm going to give SBTC some slack because I've always been the person that says the Vietnamese region, they need a little bit of time to get rid of the nerves, right? They need to play it out. They need to drop a game first before they can come back and make that
Akeno
second
said it
one
as
work.
well. He felt nervous going into game yesterday, but soon he realized, no, it's fun. We get to shake off our nerves, and we are here to play. Hopefully, that's what we see from them today.
Absolutely. We even got to see them a little bit while they were getting prepared for the matches. Both ROLSTER Y and SBTC, they look calm, they look collected. But I have to say, ROLSTER, they look like they had some fire in their eyes. They were prepared.
And I think that coming into game today, it's going to give them a little bit of an advantage as well. They don't know what they're going to play. This is their first set. They came in yesterday. They saw what happened to SBTC losing game 1, how they adapted into game 2, and having these facts on their mind, it's going to help KT ROLSTER here a little bit in draft as well.
ROLSTER stopped by banning away the Senna, Fiora, and Yasuo. That Fiora is a huge pickup that you've been mentioning.
That's right.
You know, that's one of the picks that has been not seen in the competition. You don't see it in the stats
it
at
might
all.
be permaban.
Because it's permaban.
That's right.
We also see from SBTC side the Ziggs, Renekton, and Camille, just strong bans overall, but that leaves open the Riven.
Yeah, it's really just picking your poison. What do you really want to play against? Riven's not fun, but neither is Camille, neither is Fiora. You don't want to play against Renekton either, so you let through the Riven. What is your answer? Knowing Vietnam, knowing SBTC, I think it's very likely to see a Darius coming here for Yunero, but you gotta keep in mind, Riven can still be flexed to the jungle. You have to be careful of any potential counter picks, and I like this. No more playing to your strength. We are going to be playing to what we are good at, and that's TF on Lee Sin.
Bringing back that aggression in the jungle, that look that worked so well for them in the C Championships. Lee Sin now coming back and doubling down on a strategy that has allowed for them to get a lot more pressure and aggression off, but we've also started to see some of the counterplay available for teams that want to play against that. Stuff like the Grays able to shut that down, stuff like the Jacks.
There we go. Like you said, Grandin, I'm so proud of you. You're calling the draft as we go along, and I think that the Graves Riven combo here, it's going to be a really strong one. The picks individually are really good. Graves is happy to play into Lee Sin, but both of these teams going to be showing their Baron lane, going to be showing their jungle picks off here early, and I want to see what we're going to hold as we drop in the draft. I love this so far from ROLSTER Y. Twisted Fate pairs so well with Graves. You give him point and click CC, you give him priority in lane, and together the dynamic duo of Isaac and Doe, they're going to be going to the top lane, helping Ratel out to snowball in this matchup.
What this does mean though is that SBTC get first pick prio towards the bomb side. That Dragon lane is going to be filled in with the Varus first. Could potentially take away something like the Braum as well, something that would pair very well with that Graves.
Yeah, this Varus pick for Kiral, I think it's a very strong one. I think it's a very effective one.
One of his most played.
One of his most played as well, definitely. And the problem they had yesterday was that he played it into Ziggs. And that matchup is always going to be slightly Ziggs favored. As BTC, they come in with a bit of adaptations today. We're going to get rid of Ziggs. We're going to get the next strongest marksman in Varus. And what is your answer to deal with our bottom lane? Maybe something like a Lucian Nami here that can play both aggressively and defensively. ROLSTER Y might play out well, but I do like this Galio, still a flex. You hold your mid-sub flex for last pick. Trash being picked against Akeno. That is pretty brave here.
Absolutely. I mean, Akeno has been someone that demands that Thresh ban. Instead, ROLSTER Y will pick it up themselves. Also going for that misfortune. It kind of feels like they have a lot of good team fighting power around these choke points, but at the same time, SBTC going with that Galio. One of the highest picks in the competition so far. I think it's just one game away from Renekton, which has been the absolute highest pick champion.
Yeah, Renekton has been picked in 7 games, I think, right?
Yeah, banned
rate,
more.
Win rate's not the best, right? Yeah, banned a lot as well. He has a 4-3 win rate, but Galio's also a really highly picked champion. I like the adaptation here. You see your support matchup, you're happy with what you're gonna get. You go for a mid lane counter pick. You say, we take the Diana into the Twisted Fate. If you're trying to push and roam, I'm gonna jump on you. I'm gonna aggress on you. I'm not gonna allow you to do that for free. Overall, I do like what we're seeing from both of these teams. A little bit of different identities here. More 5-5 focus from the side of SBTC, but ROLSTER Y, a lot of pick potential and a lot of ability to say, you guys can't run into us, because if you do, you're running to smoke screen, you're running to the box, you're running to bullet time. How are you gonna come in?
Before I get into game though, I really want to touch on this a little bit more. This idea of the great filter, the litmus test that is ROLSTER Y for SBTC. I know you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I really think that you have to be able to, if you want to be a great team, if you want to be a great civilization, you have to pass the great filter that is ROLSTER Y. And this is going to be a big test for SBTC here. There is a very good chance, Grandin, that the Chinese teams coming to this tournament are just far and away the best. So with that in mind, is SBTC the next best? Is it ROLSTER Y? Who's it going to be? A lot of questions are going to be answered in this game.
Well, we're looking to see if we can find out any of those answers for us, as we should be going into the game pretty soon. Yeah. We already have the locked-in final picks, and we're going back to what SBTC have been known for.
Yes.
A comfort pick style composition that's worked well for them in all forms of competition we've seen before. They've decided to put that Galio in the support position, and so it's going to be around to support the team more as opposed to be a playmaker.
Yeah, he does two things in the context of this game. One, give Akeno a lot of playmaking potential on something that's a bit more straightforward as well, which kind of fits the topic that we've been talking about. Nerves a very real issue for SBTC here. They're very young players. They're coming to the big stage for the first time. Sure, there may be no audience, but this is their first international event. You want to give them something easy to execute, something that they're familiar with, and I think it doesn't get any better here for SBTC.
Losing against the Chinese region teams, I don't think we have any issue with that whatsoever.
Well,
SBTC,
some issue.
Some issue. But you had a theory. If depending on how this score went, depending on how this game goes and how the score goes, you have a theory on how it's going to play out. We go into the Rift. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to explain that.
Well, I think the main thing we want to look out for here is I do want to pay attention to the game from level 1, because like we talked about yesterday, when you have certain champions with the point-and-click CC, you can't be so effective at level 1. We're not going to see an invade. Both of these teams just going to be jostling for mid-push, and this is something you can expect to see recurring a lot when you see mid-lane champions with roam potential and with heavy wave potential. You want to deny the ability of champions like TF, ASO, push and move to level 1.
So no 5-man mid then?
No 5-man mid. We're not gonna be seeing that this game. I don't believe we're gonna be seeing that from any of the good teams here. But with that in mind, though, there are situations where it might be called for. We'll keep that in mind as we go along the tournament, though, and we'll explore that a bit more.
Absolutely brutal. I want to talk a little bit about this Baron Lane matchup first.
Yes.
Because Ratel and Yunero coming in, a bit of a change and a bit of a different look for SBTC. For you guys back at home, though, feel free to log in to your Prime Gaming, match that together with your Wild Rift account to get a random skin chest. Get some free swag.
I've already done mine.
You've done yours?
Of course.
Have you seen what you got?
No, I haven't opened it, but I've connected and got this all sorted out. You gotta get the free skins, you gotta get the swag.
Absolutely, get the free stuff. Make sure you get that for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that point about Ratel and Yunero, because Yunero now coming in, replacing Minas, is a different look for this team. He's more of a stable player, not so much of a show-offy player.
Look, and you can see just from how the junglers are pathing what both of these teams want to do right from the get-go. Yunero is looking to be stable, and that's why the Vietnamese teams value his Darius pickup so much. He doesn't require a lot of resources. He trades well. He's hard to dive. He scales pretty alright. Let him do his own thing, and that fits Yunero's identity. He's gonna be stable. He's gonna look to come team fight. He does the job well. Not amazingly, but he can do it. And look at this. This is exactly what Warren wanted. ROLSTER Y.
To the top side, Yunero's gonna get caught out. Has that barrier. Tries to pull someone in, but shit's gonna get away.
Yeah, he's gonna get away. Has to expand the barrier. But getting away is not the end of the story. Look at the wave. Look at the minimap right now. Look at the top tier 1 turret. Look at how many waves he's gonna be missing out on. Look at the gold count on Ratel and Yunero. We might not be able to see creep score, but look at that. 1,000 gold deficit from 2 minutes in the game on just the Baron Lane matchup. This is a potentially huge pain point for SBTC.
So they have to put some of that pressure on the other side of the map,
yes,
play for that cross map, get something going on the other end. TF's gonna come down to the Dragon Lane. Fortunately for him, ROLSTER Y, great response, gonna back off.
You see, you know what the problem here is, Gamenism? When Grandin, I forgot your name change. When you want to dive these lanes, when you want to dive the side lanes, you cannot do it with just your jungler unless you want to trade. If you want to force it 2-3, you need to make sure that your mid can come along, and that's not going to be possible because of the mid matchup.
It is going to be possible for ROLSTER Y. Isaac has his ultimate, so you could see for a second there, ROLSTER Y were prepared to play that 3v3. Isaac was teleported down with the Destiny Gate. So TF's going to go back for now. not exactly able to find the start that they were hoping for with this aggressive Lee Sin.
Yeah, the Lee Sin, he's not so worried for now. He has a bit of time to play with. You get about a couple of Dragon fights to really get something going. Find a nice little kick. And you have a lot of targets for that this game. I think that's what TF is going to be very happy with. If you get on MF, you're happy kicking her. TF, same story. So a lot of options for Lee Sin to play with. And I think if you look at this mid-lane matchup, it really encapsulates the nature of what these two champions want to be doing. TF just wants to push. But Diana is trying her best to not let you do so. And I love both supports, bot lanes coming to just relieve pressure. Worth the time of 30 right now, 4 minutes, Jack to spawn. You have to make sure you get your resets, get your rolls, get your mid-fight.
Exactly. Get ready for those first objectives as they spawn up. Julie's actually gonna have to base right before these objectives come online. This is gonna have to...
But that's the nature of the matchup. Diana cannot push. You're playing for the big fights, but you have to sacrifice something, somewhere.
It seems like SBTC want to start playing towards the Ratel first. That's that first one. We've seen how this has changed the meta a lot because you can no longer just have your Baron laner doing his own thing. You kind of have to invest in getting one of them because if the enemy team gets both, you kind of lose too much tempo, especially in that big mid lane.
And I love what we're seeing right now. SBTC, they do not want to trade, and this is great for Julie. He knows that he's not going to be able to make it before the Destiny Gate, so I'll just engage on you.
It's going on to Isaac. They get healed up, flash over the wall, but the gold card follows through, and Julie's going to have to get away.
Look, I thought he was just going to chunk him out and get out. That's why I kept talking, but he just went for the all-in. He went for the dive.
The Honey Fruit kind of just denied that kill there. So unlucky, so unfortunate. Akeno is going to lead the charge, but it's actually Ratel that finds the engage. And collateral damage finds first blood for ROLSTER Y. The party doesn't end just yet. TF's going to come in now. Dead provides the support for Yunero. He pops the barrier, but still goes down over to Salem. TF unable to find much more. The heal's going to come in.
Hero
gets one and looking to get out.
Hero wants to keep this going though. He does a lot of damage right now.
Takes the flash away from Doe. The Grace has to back off.
Look at this. I love the play from Julie right now. I love this so very much. He identifies correctly what he needs to be doing in this entire timing window. For the last minute and a half, he did not make a single attempt to come to the team fight at Harrow. He says to his team, you guys are on your own. We're gonna go into the X replay and let's take a look at that one. And while this is going on, look at the mini map as well for one moment. This is a great start here for the side of Warrior. Akeno goes in too early. I think you see some signs and nerves. His team is not ready, they're not in position to start losing members. One by one, start to fall. But right now, TF, he's so strong on this season. He does a million damage. Kiral as well with his Varus positioning so safely. Very good stuff from the jungler and marksman on the side of SBTC, but the rest of them, Yunero, Akeno, they need to calm down.
Exactly. So early on, you have that execution damage with the Lee Sin. It gives so much more to these teams trying to find these early skirmishes. But ROLSTER, despite the fact that those fights haven't exactly gone in their favor, are still ahead in gold right now.
Why did he just use the heroic entrance? I couldn't really tell you. I feel like Akeno just misclicked something. They wanted to go for an engage maybe, and they botched it. Now Akeno gets caught.
He's going to get a two-man taunt first. Julie's going to be nearby, trying to provide some support, but difficult. Ratel's right down in there. Coming in with the moonfall onto 3. Yunero cannot follow up. That's the gold card, the stun, the damage laid down on Julie, taking down the Diana. And Ratel's still in the back line. He's making a mess. Yunero, no point crying over spilled milk. That's your Baron laner gone.
Yeah, once again, the fight starts off with Akeno making a mistake. He slips up, he gets caught out, no flash to get out. And what did we say in the draft? What did we say from picks and bans? SBTC, what did they want to do? They want to run into you, they want to get the team fight going. So ROLSTER Y, what's that team comp so good at? They're good at catching you off one by one. They're good at peeling back and making you have a hard time engaging on them. That's exactly how the team fight played out. That's something we need to keep trying as well. Ratel right now, he's untouchable. Look at this. He jumps into Akeno and Julie, and no one wants to spend a single spell on him because they know they can't do anything. Instead, they go for the backline, and no engage potential because you cannot run past the MF spells.
Even with that big moonfall, they just don't have the follow-up. Nothing's available. If they try to get close enough to assist Julie, they're not going to have enough spells to actually win that fight.
Yeah, and smiles on the coaching staff's faces. They are happy with how this one is going, and they should be as the fight starts again.
right back on that Dragon. It actually sees Isaac fall first. Julie's diving in deep there. Good amount of damage coming across Ratel. But beautiful flash with a wall. Finds a 3-man knock-up. The rest of the damage coming in from Luna as the team starts to run away. SBTC need to back off.
And the story of this game so far has been the Ratel show. Guest starring Doe a little bit, guest starring Isaac a little bit. That fight starts off with Isaac halting into a bit of an iffy situation. He gets caught, but it doesn't matter. He baits them to funnel into a choke point, and Ratel cleans house. ROLSTER, I think they're going to be very happy with how this game is going. 5k gold lead, they're going to pick this one up as well. But SBTC look like they have something to say.
If there's something that these teams from the Southeast Asia region love doing, it's fighting. They're going to engage once again. Akeno's going to go down, the first casualty back in this fight. They don't have the means to keep pushing on for this. Ratel's going to come in now. They get the chance of corruption. It's a good amount of damage, but it's still a Riven so slippery. You don't have the lockdown to finish him off. It's finally Julie that comes in with the kill. TM's going to follow through. The damage for the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike takes down another, but the remaining 2 members of ROLSTER are barely going to get away.
And look at both of these teams. Blinking red health bars, a sliver of health for so many players on the map right now. But SBTC, I thought they weren't able to kill Ratel, but they finally managed to. TF and Julie, the dual bruiser frontline, they're just diving in, making the plays happen. And Kiral, he's the artillery from the background. He's throwing in arrows. Once again, look at how the fight starts. It starts with Akeno getting caught. This time around, though, they peel back on Ratel very, very well. And I think that turn around here, catching on to them, hitting the right spells. They did exactly what they needed to. And in this fight, you kind of see the flaws of Trash as a champion as well. If you don't find picks, what do you really provide?
If it doesn't work the first time, try and try again. SBTC, I feel like they live by that motto.
Oh yeah.
They've been trying to push in onto ROLSTER, really making them sweat and work for those objectives. And even with these hooks, it doesn't feel like there's much to be gained there. Yunero, his build is what? A dead man's plate and a proto belt. That's all he wants. He wants to jump in, get the upper hand, and he's done.
And I'll be honest with you, given how his early game played out, he lost 1,000 gold at 2 minutes in the game. He had no real choice here. He has to play a tank, and I think it works, because when you're playing against catch up, what do you really need? You need someone to be tanky, run in front of you, face check the bushes, eat the gold card, eat the trash hole. But right now, the problem is Luna on this team, Fortune is doing so much poke damage, keeping them at arm's length.
Being able to build space for them with this misfortune is something that we haven't quite seen in the competition just yet, but it's showing a very good look, and this is the power of ROLSTER Y appearing on an international stage against a lot of expectations for exactly where they would be in power level.
Yeah, I mean, SBTC, the story for them as well, I think it is the inverse, right? They really need to be showing they can do something a little bit more. Not having Minas, having Yunero be bullied in both series that they've played so far has proved to be a major pain point for them, and they need to figure out a solution to this. I can tell you right now, Yunero can never fight this Riven ever again in the rest of the game. That's why they're having Julie do it.
You had a theory, right? The first player to buy Bramble Vest.
There we go. There's nothing anyone can do. No one can stop Ratel.
A lot of damage onto Julie, but like you were mentioning, the first play to buy Bramble Vest kind of loses that matchup.
Yes. In a carry matchup,
In a carry versus carry matchup, Yunero,
he's just buying it every game.
Defensive all the time.
All the time, every game, all day. And it's kind of his fault, but it's also kind of not. Because how the teams wanted to play out this game was to split the map. SBTC, they want the bot lane. ROLSTER Y, they want the top lane, and Yunero just got punished as a result of that. SBTC weren't able to find any answers on the other side of the map, and as a result, ROLSTER Y, they're just running away with this game from the Baron lane.
Building up such a lead from the Baron lane, translating that across the map, both Rift Talents have gone over to ROLSTER Y. Because of that, they've been able to get that first turret. But it's down to the Dragon side, which is very interesting.
Bit of a bait.
They're gonna catch on to Ratel. I'm not sure if they have the means to follow through and take down this Riven. Just gets over the wall. I love watching those mechanics.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate Riven. This champion, she is so strong. She's a bit too strong right now. She does damage, she's tanky, she's mobile, she has utility.
It's a fun champion.
It's a fun champion to play. It's a fun champion to have on your team. It's definitely no fun to play against, as SBTC are seeing right now. They're trying their best to trade sides. They're trying their bst to just focus down the Tailscript and send your whole team there. Just don't give him space to work. And I think that this is it's a pretty good game plan from SBTC.
but they have been having some difficulty managing these waves, right? Despite the fact that they have decent cash potential, it doesn't match what ROLSTER Y are doing, whether with the point-and-click CC, with this pick potential that they have. ROLSTER gets such an easy and free opportunity to play towards these smaller side lanes. SBTC have kind of been letting these waves crash into them.
Yeah, and when you think about how things connect to each other, how the chain of events flows, that's really just because Ratel's been running away with this game. You need so many people to deal with him. He demands so much resources invested to shut him down. The SF is out, SBTC, they're always one step behind. Here we're likely to see it again. Look at Ratel, look at where he is.
Yunero comes to the engage, but to make it rain is going to take him down the full time, actually. He's going to want to take him down. Ratel once again looks for the flank on the side, but they don't have the damage to finish off this river. TF's going to have to flash away, but losing a lot of health in the process. Akeno comes back into Hero again, just trying to set up Julie for a kill, for anything at this point, but unable to get much more. They finally take down Luna, but it's not going to be enough. They still see Julie fall, and the rest of SBTC routed.
Look, and that was just desperation from SBTC. They recognized they had no space. They were being closed in on from across the entire map. Yunero took one step too far forward, and what did he say? ROLSTER Y's team comp, we catch you, we pick you off. They punished him, and Ratel, he once again finds an amazing angle to come into the team fight from SBTC. It looks to me like they're running out of options.
So what now? SBTC, if they can't allow ROLSTER to get a catch, and then what do they have to do? Run into them?
Play better the next game, I think, is probably what we're looking at this point. It's looking so, because I cannot think of a single answer to this Riven. You don't have the DPS. Your carries, it's pretty sad to say. Your carries are Diana and Varus. One who pokes, one who assassinates your backline. Who's gonna kill this tanky, shielding, life-stealing Riven dashing into your team? You just purely lack the DPS.
And this is why we've seen Riven ban so many of these games.
Oh yeah, please ban her. Please ban her.
In fact, I think this is why we see Renekton show through so much, because Riven has to demand a ban.
Yeah, I think that's really the case here. They chose to ban away the Renekton, and that's something you touched on a little bit as well, right? Ratel's Renekton also deserves a ban. It's something which he played 3 in their own playoffs. Yeah, Riven's gonna double kill them. Not much to really look at here. Whenever Ratel's almost just assume he's winning the fight he's in.
He's kind of giving some respect to Yunero. Not sure where Akeno is, so not looking to fight a 2 versus 1. Especially not while Baron is up. They can just play for that. He has teleport, so at any point he just join the team.
He does have the teleport, and that's something I want to point out as well. He picked that one up so early on, and he didn't suffer because he's so far ahead that his combat stats were never lacking. And here we go.
Engage shows up. Salem gets the primary hook off first. Good fall through from ROLSTER Y. They take down Akeno. That just kind of opens up the map a little bit more.
Yeah, and I want to come back to the Riven point a bit. I want to talk about Big Bad a bit. Because it looks to me like this game, ROLSTER Y, they came in with a statement win in their first game of the tournament. It's not over yet, but I think it's safe to start calling it and start thinking about what we want to do for the next game. To me, I feel like given the stats that we've seen from Ratel's Renekton, P0 has not lost a game in playoffs. It's been banned against him a bunch of time as well. So what are you gonna do? It's what we said earlier on. You gotta pick the poison. Do you want to give Renekton in the next game, or do you want to give Riven? What's it gonna be?
And it's so difficult to answer because not just Ratel, right? I also feel like Isaac has a lot of carry potential in it.
Yeah.
The guy's played stuff like that Irelia before, and he had some insane mechanics. I feel like he went into this game with that mindset to say, if they're gonna ban out Ratel, I'm just gonna be carry, then I'm okay with that. I would take that.
And you gotta keep in mind, in this game as well, so on this Graves, he's having an amazing performance. We've been talking about Ratel all game, but if you look at the gold count, those not far behind, both of them sitting at 13,000 gold, just so far ahead of anyone on the side of SBTC except Julie right now. And it looks to me like for once, SBTC, they find an angle on the map. Okay, they're just gonna back up. They're not looking to set up anything because they cannot set up anything. But I do like the ideas to try to trade sides of the map right now.
But I love the fact that SBTC are not shy to go for a fight, right? You see the TF Ultimate come out right now. The Destiny gives him some information. They look like collapse. Julie's right there. Not able to find a damage. Akeno's building a wall. It's the shield protecting his team. They kick away Ratel. You have no one that can deal with the Riven. Flash throw from Salem gets the pick off. Kiral's gone down. Yunero's joined in the fight, but it's way too late.
Amazing stuff from Salem. Second time he's done it this game. He buffers the flash hook, and no one sees it coming. He catches out Kiral. He's gonna catch out Yunero.
He's back on the Yunero. It doesn't matter if you're tank. It doesn't matter how much HP you have. You're gonna die if Salem gets this death sentence on you. making it true to its name. That's another pickup on the Julie. They're onto the Baron now.
And that's exactly what we talked about. The catch comp, the pick comp from ROLSTER Y. It's paying dividends right now. Nothing SBTC can do. Their tank, Yunero, is too far behind. You can't face check. That's a huge kick.
They have to steal it. So much damage to the Baron. They get the dash away. They're gonna get out. TF, he still has the GA. They stop the Baron. He's gone in to stay safe. Akeno trying to buy his jungler some time, but it's in the Baron pit, and as it resets, he gets over the wall.
Oh my goodness. Hero play there from TF. He kicked 4 members of ROLSTER Y. He kicked them in the line, knocked them all up, cleans up the kill onto Luna as well. This was a highlight play from here in such a desperate game with their backs against the wall. TF pulls this off on stage. This man clearly is not suffering from any nerves at all. Amazing performance from him. Amazing mechanics from him. But to me, it just feels like it's not enough.
I wonder what you need for that. A mathematics degree or an engineering degree to find and line up those angles?
It's trigonometry.
Trigonometry.
That's the one. I mean, I'm not going to get into it because I failed math. So we're just going to talk about this game, and we're going to talk about the fact that the dragon is up, and this is a big one, Grenda.
Absolutely. TF obviously did not fail math. So we'll see if he's going to be able to make the numbers count. Because despite being 7,000 gold, SBTC don't play that way.
Oh boy, he's getting
still
caught.
going aggressively. Gold cards locked and ready to go in first. Yunero's come in now. No, this might be the pick off. This might be the fight that they've been looking for. Ratel's gonna flash away. Salem comes back with a death sentence. They're looking to take down Julie, who's gone into station to buy some time. The bullet time is going to wreak havoc among SBTC. They have to kite away, reposition. But Isaac's right by the side waiting. And Salem coming in now. Damage shows up from Luna. A little bit more will take down SBTC, but they just barely get away.
And what do we say about ROLSTER Y's team composition? It does 2 things. Either they pick you, or they make it impossible to run into them. And that's exactly what Luna's misfortune did. And it looks like SBTC, they're not done yet.
Julie's coming in with the teleport now. The other Drake's gonna go down pretty soon. Akeno's not gonna be in time to stop this, but that's the first pickup. That's the kill on the Isaac. The second going into stasis. They're looking to take down Ryu, who might be able to get the dragon, but will take your lives instead. Salem's barely gonna get away, but the moonfall comes down. And Ratel looking to try and survive now. Over by the side, Doe gets away as well.
Oh my goodness, and that's a heartbreaker for Julie. He did everything he could. That was a nice fight from him, but unfortunately, they just barely missed out on a few key spells. Weren't able to take down Salem, weren't able to take down Ratel. Those two living, staying alive at the end of this fight means that you would not be able to pick up the Baron. And look at how SBTC, look at how they navigate this team fight. They just completely dodged Ratel. Julie and Kiral will flash over the wall, get away from Ratel, and get onto the opponent backline, get on the backline of ROLSTER Y. And this right here, Julie splits his spells up too much. He tries to go for too much. He tries to hit too many people. And in the end, it means that he misses out on 2 kills.
Omo, I'm gonna put this into perspective here. If I'm not mistaken, I think I need someone to fact check me. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first game of the Horizon Cup that's gone past 20 minutes.
Oh. It might honestly be. We were here the whole of yesterday watching the games play out. We saw some very one-sided ones, but this, I think, is the closest one we've seen so far for sure.
All right, just got confirmation. That is in fact true. The longest game we've seen in Horizon
setting
Cup
records
so far.
here.
Absolutely. SBTC. They came in here to play, and so have ROLSTER Y.
Yeah.
They have taken control from start to finish, despite SBTC's best attempts to stay aggressive. It's ROLSTER Y's game for sure so far.
And ROLSTER Y, to think about the last fight is they might have lost it, but they picked up the Mountain Soul as well. And that's going to be huge because we already talked about how SBTC, they're having issues closing out kills. You're missing out the DPS. You're lacking that little bit of damage. This extra shielding from ROLSTER Y is going to be a huge headache for the side of SBTC to deal with. And ROLSTER Y, I think we have to talk about Doe and Ratel. These 2 guys, between them, have only died once this game and have closed the 100% kill participation window.
Yunero's looking to engage, trying to get caught out of the death sentence, puts them in their place.
Yeah.
SBTC unable to finish off these kills. Akeno has to go stone plate, but loses health way too quickly. Julie goes in, is only able to tap, just barely tap the Moonfall as he falls as well. The third to go down is just down to Kiral. He actually baits out the gold card, but I think Isaac should be able to finish this one off.
The stack deck picking up the kill at the end, and TF, he's gonna get chased down. This man tried to do everything he could. In the end, it was not enough. Him and Julie, they tried to force the engage. Yunero tries to force the engage, but it's not enough.
And ROLSTER Y will take game number 1 up against SBTC, setting the stage, the litmus test for the Southeast Asia region champions. ROLSTER Y were able to take them down and showing very good performance in the process.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the gameplay we saw out of ROLSTER Y right there. They came in with a clear set game plan. They proved that you cannot ban out Ratel, and whatever picks he gets, he will get a hit. Once again, Yunero gets punished, he gets camped, he gets shut down, and it looks like this is going to be a recurring trend throughout the entire Horizon Cup. How do SBTC adapt from this? How do they recover? What do they ban next game?
So many questions left unanswered. Too many. But one question I definitely want to get answered before we pass it over to our analyst desk is, we had a lot of discussion asking if ROLSTER Y were going to be a team that was going to be aggressive, that liked to fight, and I think, well, so far from what I can see, it is going to be the case.
Yeah, they drafted a very clear poke comp, pick comp, and they did just that. They weren't shy to take these fights as well, and I think it's a good start to the series for ROLSTER Y.
And such a problem. Ratel's been able to play this Riven, play other stuff like the Aurelia, like the Fiora, so you only have a finite number of bans. Maybe Thunder Talk had it right. When you play red side, just ban away all 3 Baron laners, right?
Then you give them Ziggs, so what are you really going to do here?
You don't have a good answer at all. Yeah. Right, so you have to kind of decide what you want to try and go for, pick your poison in that sense.
Exactly.
But SBTC, despite the fact that he got a composition that they were known for, that they are comfortable for, and had some good performances overall, seem to not have that cohesive link. It doesn't seem to fit as well in the current meta that we're seeing.
Well, the problem is not that these picks are bad or they don't fit together well. It's just that the answers have been found. What do you pick into Lee Sin? Both times it's been answered. We pick Graves and we shut you down. We're tanky, we have smoke screen, we can dash away from you. You don't have a clear-cut answer to that. And this Darius pick as well. It's clear to see that Darius, if you want him to be stable, you need to have a strong point somewhere else on the map. SBTC weren't able to find that. And that's why, ROLSTER Y ran away with it.
And while those old questions have been answered, a lot of new ones have been raised. And to answer some of those new questions, we're going to hand it back over to State Farm Analyst Desk to break down game number 1 of this awesome series.
Thank you very much, Big G and Omo. And, we're asking a lot about who's got the right answers. Well, we need an answer here from TJ, who is saying, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. SBTC is going to clean it up. The Darius on the top side of the map doesn't look good. The team fighting comp didn't quite work out the way that it wanted to. Please, I'm all ears.
Yeah, there are some problems, Digon. I'm not going to lie to you. I came in with the belief that what went wrong yesterday was a bad read, right? Things got thrown off by the way Duncan were playing. This is not that excuse anymore. We've seen KT, they're playing well, but they're playing fundamentals. They're playing solid late game scaling. They're playing well around the team fights. They're playing good macro. And unfortunately, SBTC are just falling apart in the team fights that they drafted towards. They built a composition that needed to set up defensive team fights. Use the Darius, use the Galio to catch aggression, set that up for Kiral to punish, TF to dive the backlines, and it never happened. They never got those synced up team fights, particularly their 2 tanks, Yunero and Akeno, just looked really lost during the fights. It's not the SBTC that I promised everyone, and for that, I'm sorry.
That's right. Your apology is okay, but that's only because there's a superstar on the other side who showed exactly what it means to be a Baron side carry. And Excondrel, give me your thoughts on Ratel and his play on Riven.
The man is a bona fide Giga Chad top laner. He is absolutely insane. Honestly, Riven is a really strong pick in the meta right now, and I'm so glad that we've seen the opportunity for Ratel to show his stuff on the stage. This is the guy that we were hyping up before we got into this matchup. This is the guy that was going to be the carry, and from the get-go, you could see that KT ROLSTER invested resources. It was a level 4 tower dive. We rotated the TF up early as well to deny Yunero a little bit more resources, give more over to Ratel, and boy, did Ratel deliver. This man had flanks in team fights. We didn't think the team fight was going to be as strong from KT ROLSTER, but Ratel made it tenable. He was finding these big picks on the side lanes, and he was essentially 1v3ing the backline while the rest of the team was getting run around by Zhu Li. On a note though, whilst I'm all hype about Ratel, I was discussing with you guys about this MF pick as well from Luna. I wasn't sure what the MF was supposed to do. And then I saw MF buy Seralda's Grudge, and I saw her hit teamfight ults over and over again. She slowed 4 melee in the middle of her ult over and over again, and it made perfect sense to me. The MF pick was big brain, Ratel on Riven, Giga Chad. I want to see more of this from KT.
Yeah, and what I like the most about this from ROLSTER is that SBTC was like, all right, we'll get rid of the Ziggs. What you got for us? They had the answer. Right now, SBTC is like, they've got to find an answer for what they're doing on the top side of the map here, TJ.
Yeah, and I'm really glad we talked about that top side. I'm really glad we talked about the way that KT ROLSTER want to play this series, because they did exactly what it said on the tin. They showed up in the top lane, and they fed their top laner. I also want to briefly give credit to this. This was an absolutely heroic effort by TF. I'm glad we pulled this replay, as he single-handedly managed to stall off that Baron take. And I'm gonna do it again. Here's the glimmer of hope.
Oh boy.
Here's the glimmer of hope.
Everyone.
Here's the SBTC defense.
Feeding us the goods. All
Look,
right.
it's still there. TF still got it. Did you see that team fight around the Ocean Drake where they almost won? It's there. It's just that it's not quite there. But they still have the individual mechanical play. And what seems to be missing, I don't even think is a draft mistake. I think they're drafting compositions that make sense. They're not executing them. And that's weird for SBTC, whose bread and butter, the entire Vietnamese region, is excellent execution. And I don't know if that's maybe communication issues, if that's maybe, oh, we're on the world stage and there's a little bit of nerves at play. SBTC have definitely shown those in the past. But something's going wrong in terms of communication on stage.
Scoundrel?
And I think also you saw KT ROLSTER's very heavy priority towards the Rift Heralds again. They knew how impactful they were going to be for generating priority in the mid lane around dragons. And they obviously transitioned very early into a 1-3-1 as well. They had Ratel in the side lane. They had TF in the other side lane, Twisted Fate, I mean, in the other side lane. And so I think they clearly knew that they didn't want to play towards teamfights early on, but as soon as Ratel became beefy and big and Seralda's Grudge was there on the MF, they said, actually, we can teamfight. And then they brought it to SBTC when they had that gold lead, when they had that edge. And SBTC, unfortunately, when they were losing out at their own game, really struggled to know how to come back in.
And what I also wanted to flag that Rift Herald shift, because not only did KT play towards the Rift Herald, and we expect the Korean teams to play on that top side towards that Rift Herald, but SBTC changed their own style of play. They shifted away from the dragon focus that they normally bring, the reliance on team fights that I think the dragons enable, and they matched on that Rift Herald. And that is a greater endorsement of Rift Herald being the most important objective on the map than anything I have seen so far.
Well, Big G and Omo, the longest game yesterday lasted 19 minutes and 33 seconds. The first game today clearly cleared that. So let's see what Game 2 has to offer. Guys, take it away.
Thanks a bunch, D-Gon. I'm glad to hear you have the stats to back me up there. I'm looking forward to see how game number 2 is going to pan out. SBTC, they have to kind of revise what they've been doing. I don't want to say get back to the drawing board.
Boy.
That was already
I will say that for you. I think they do have to get back to the drawing board. It's not just a revision at this point. This is like when you're a week off. You know what? Not a week off. This is when you're getting ready to go into your examination and you realize you've been studying all the wrong chapters. They are patched behind. They're playing a method too slow. And I feel like there need to be serious questions that need to be answered on the side of SBTC right now. And I think if you look at the players, you can see the frustration as well. You get Akeno tapping on the table, saying something to Kiral. We don't quite know what it is, but I can tell you that they need to figure out both their gameplay as well as their drafting.
Absolutely, but if you have just a pinch of copium, then you're going to say that, well, that team fight that we saw from them, TF still has it. They still have those playmaking potential in them. Julie still had a pretty good performance despite everything that happened that game. But it is going to be a problem seeing what's happened. ROLSTER being one of the first teams to be able to really adapt so well to this double Rift Herald meta.
Look, and this is what I said as well, right? The problem here is not that SBTC, they didn't study. I know, I'm just so smart. It's not that SBTC, they didn't study. They just studied the wrong chapters. Their Lee Sin is great. Their Diana is great. Their Darius, not the best. But the problem is the answers have been found to these champions. You come in playing what was good at C Champs, and you're going to get punished at the Horizon Cup. That's exactly what we're seeing. And I think double Rift Herald point race by you, race by TJ. You guys are pretty smart too. Extremely important right now in the meta, especially with the priority we see on strong Baron lane champions. It just lets you snowball the game.
I'm actually going to diss TJ a little bit here because when I messaged him and said, hey, I think something really important to talk about is that double Rift Herald meta, he said, I don't think that's going to be very impactful.
I love your TJ impression, but I also get the vibe, you know, we all know TJ, we love TJ, but he loves to be a contrarian. Now he's, you know, changed his tune a little bit. That double Rift Herald, so impressive.
So does that mean at SBTC he's also going to have to change his tune for this team?
I mean, I think what I do love about TJ is he will stick with his guns, and I think I'm going to stick here with him. I think SBTC, they have what it takes to reverse sweep this series. And we had a really long game 1. 1. I think we're going to have a really long game 2, and I think we're going to have a game 3 as well. So stick with us, because I think we're in for a wild ride here.
Let's see how that pans out. We're going into Champion Select SBTC. They're now on the blue side, so they get the option to pick that first really powerful Baron lane, or whatever they really want to try and go for. We saw that first pick turn out to be the Riven the last time around. ROLSTER were able to make such great use of that pickup.
You see, but the problem is, if they had Minus playing, I would be more obliged to agree with you, because he has shown he can be a big carry for this team. And I think the narrative that we had in C-Champs was that whenever Yunero will lose a game, maybe lose 2 games, sub in Minus, you will win every single game.
There
you
we
don't
go.
have that option anymore.
Highest play rate champion in the Horizon Cup so far, it is that Renekton. Likely going into the Baron lane. I wanted to raise a counterpoint, because while Yunero might not be the one to play stuff like that Riven, he will play Renekton, and you know who will play Riven? TF.
That is true as well, and I think TF on this Riven is going to be very impressive. Now, if you look at the Riven-Renekton matchup, compared to League PC, it's less brutal and Wild Rift. It's much more playable for Riven. So I'm quite surprised that we actually didn't see it get snatched away by ROLSTER Y. And Grandin, I feel like at this point you're getting ready to take over my job. There we go, Renekton, Riven. I won't be surprised to even see a Varus here as well.
No, I feel like it's pretty good at this point to kind of get a good feeling for what TF is going to be capable of.
Yeah.
Right, his Lee Sin performance was spectacular. The fact that they banned away the Lee Sin and now going for this Riven.
Yeah. I think it's pretty curious that they're banning away the Lee Sin, because it's clear that this is a pick which is only highly prioritized by SBTC. It's a very Vietnamese pick, it's a very SEA pick, and I feel like other teams just don't prioritize it as much. Look at this, look at what we see from ROLSTER Y. Lee Sin, even if it was up, Riven was up, they just chose to take the Graves. These Chinese teams, these Korean teams, they are pivoting away from Lee Sin, and they recognize Graves is the #1 jungler on the patch right now. I love this from ROLSTER Y. You don't have the Riven anymore, but you still play the same draft. TF, Graves, we're going to the top lane.
Get that Camille in there as well. Have that additional lockdown. You have the power to split push. And one of the few champions that can get away from Riven, that double hook shot, one of the only spells I think that's going to get you away from the grasp of TF. Loving what they're doing with their draft so far. Even as early as the WCK, ROLSTER Y have been getting ready for this Graves, I would say.
Yeah.
2.4, it doesn't matter. They were getting ready to see Graves being played. They were preparing for this. Now it's finally coming to fruition.
And I think that the first signs of life here on the draft comes from a mistake from ROLSTER Y. I don't particularly like this bottom lane matchup. You're picking Corki and Solution. You can't expect to get bullied. You really need to heavily play around your package timings. And with your team wanting to play towards the Baron lane, you're going to have a hard time here as a Corki. And we really, really need to see Kiral and Akeno step it up a notch. The problem though is Julie, he's going to be on Orianna. He's going to lose a lot of priority. Same as the last game. You couldn't see Diana roam, you can't see Orianna roam either. And once again, Ratel might run away with it.
That was my initial expectation as well, but I don't want to call it too early, because we have seen Southeast Asian teams play Orianna in the Dragon lane, for example, and then
that is true.
Play the Lucian in the mid side, you know, because you want to funnel that Lucian, get him ahead early on, and Julie being, well, Julie, you know what happens when you get this guy ahead, he's going to be a huge menace in the game.
And Lucian is happy playing to Twisted Fate. That's a very potentially true flex that we could see here. And I want to point out, we do finally see Akeno on this trash. He wants to show Salem how we do it here in SEA. I feel like a lot of high expectations coming in this tournament for Akeno. We had him listed as one of the best, if not the best support player in the whole tournament. He's been dropping the ball a little bit, sad to say, but hopefully on a comp pick like this trash, we can see him step up.
Speculation going into this competition, though, was that ROLSTER had one of the best improvements going into the Horizon Cup. And now we see them take a strong game against SBTC. Both teams felt hard-fought. It looked like SBTC were on form. They might have definitely had some mistakes here and there. But for the most part, SBTC looked to get back in the shape that they were before. And despite that, ROLSTER were able to take that first game off of them. Is this finally a chance at a moment where Scrimbucks get to be cashed in?
It's definitely possible. It's really, really possible that KT, ROLSTER, they come in here and they take a 2-0 against SBTC. But given how the draft played out, I think both of these teams have a very strong draft. But finally, to me, it looks like SBTC, they've made the right adaptations. Maybe with the Riven in the jungle, the Renekton in the Baron lane, a stable pick at that. Not Darius. For once, this is the first game they are not playing Darius. Maybe it's time to turn their fortunes around.
You just don't have to default to Darius, man.
Yeah, please, there are other champions in the game.
Other
I get it.
champions
It's
exist.
not minors. I get it, but still, just stop picking Darius, man.
We saw how that was a huge problem in the Siege Championships as well, where Darius renekted when he basically...
To be fair, in Siege Championships, Darius was broken. No one could punish it. But when we're seeing the world's best Baron laners here, people like Ratel, like Z, who I guess is now a mid lane, but that's fine. We see the world's best laners be able to punish this Darius pick. Teams are able to kite away, play you at arm's length, and Darius can never engage.
Talk to me about this arm's length theory, because Orianna...
What theory is that to really talk
Orianna,
about?
you were telling me before that does exceptionally well against short-range champions. It will go into the mid lane up against Isaac. Talk to me a little bit about this, because you say it does especially well against guys that don't have a very long-range.
Yeah, so what Orianna suffers against is long-range champions, like this Cocky, who can just poke you out from a range and never have to walk into the vicinity of your wall. In this game, though, I think SBTC, I think Julie will be very happy with the targets that he has. This is a traditional mid lane counter pick. When TF was rising into prominence, Orianna was often picked as an answer because you do two things. You scale alongside him in lane, and you zone him so well in team fights. So TF, he is on a timer here. Rather, Isaac, he's on a timer here on his twisted fate, and he really needs to get Ratel going. Because if Ratel gets going, this Orianna bot doesn't matter at all. He's going to hookshot past it, he's going to hextech ultimatum you, and there's nothing you can do. So once again, the name of the game is get Ratel going.
So many make-or-break moments. Then Julie now saying, well, I played Diana the last game around. I had so many good moonfalls this time around. You guys gonna have to do something that work too.
He's talking about the AoE outs. If you
he's talking about the AoE outs. He says this time you guys engage. I'm just gonna press the R button.
Yeah, nice little hook here, but not gonna be able to do too much in this situation. Now this trash Lucian lane really needs to be able to bully out the Cocky. Cocky's here, he's happy to just scale into the late game, but you really need to bully him and don't give him an easy time scaling up. Both junglers and mids are here. You can see it's coming.
Julie's maybe looking for something. Those gonna take a little bit of damage. Akeno's coming in as well. It's looking a little bit too difficult to find an engagement.
I love this. I love that they get the bot prior and they move from Akeno first. They try to secure the double scuttle crab, and it looks like they will be able to do just that here.
And that was one of the defining traits, one of the success factors going into the competition, right? Because I've always been such a big criticism of a lot of supports that do passive, not rotating when they have the priority. Yes. Akeno is not one of those that falls into that trap.
Yeah, but there is a counterpoint to that. You can sometimes be guilty of over-rotating, and you know what? I don't want to see this. Maybe you should just look away from this. I don't know how that happened. How do you get solo killed by a Camille without any roam, without any ganks? Your team just came to the topside river to relieve pressure from your lane, and somehow you never got solo killed.
I'm gonna say Ignite.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's the Ignite. Of course it's the Ignite, but it's just how does that happen? You must have taken 1, 2, maybe even 3 bad trades before that to get in Camille lethal range at level 3, at level 4.
I'm sorry.
This is clearly a problem.
I'm sorry, Omar. I just have to say, I just like getting a rise out of you. I think Yunero feels the same way.
Don't worry. I'm already really frustrated. How are you this low against Camille? Hookshot flash. Yeah, there we go. How are you this low against Camille? Have no honeymoon. This is just unacceptable.
It's a big problem, especially now looking at the goal difference, 1,000 up organically. That solo kill is setting the pace of the game. It doesn't feel like Yunero's switch around is going to make any bit of a difference. That Camille is still going to be a major threat.
The Camille is going to be a major threat. Ratel, he's always going to be a major threat. And now with a lead that he found by himself, I think that's so important to keep in mind. It wasn't Do coming to help him. It wasn't Isaac roaming 3-man to the Baron lane. This time, he said, you know what? I'll do it all myself. And he managed to pull out. You know, he's close to Triforce right now. I don't want to hop too much on this Camille point, but this is game winning. And for the side of SBTC, that one solo kill could potentially be game losing.
I mean, feel free to, right? I'll stay Fabianus that likes it as well. He's just going to get a little bit more assistance. I don't think he even needs it, really. Comes in the hook shot, should be looking to set things up pretty soon. The last precision strike takes down Yunero for the second time coming.
And let's talk about why this is so great from Isaac. Why is this so great from ROLSTER? Why? Look at the timer on the clock right now. You aren't able to get your Destiny Gate up in time for the next objective, but this means you free up all the space in the world for Ratel to crash this wave, get reset. Dole as well, he's resetting right now, and they get to be in position at any objective anytime they choose.
I still love Akeno roaming around, looking for some pressure around the map, especially knowing that things haven't been going in their favor. Now looking at that first neutral objective spawn. Package picked up. Luna's maybe looking to go towards that Rift Tower side as well now.
The one consolation I could see here for SBTC is there are no ultimates on the side of ROLSTER Y. You need to fight right now before Hextech ultimate, before collateral damage come back up. The problem is you don't want to fight into package, so it's kind of a catch-22 with the full lock and half place. What do SBTC do?
Seems like SBTC is going to choose to allow ROLSTER Y to stop the Rift Herald. Okay. They're going to be watching for this. TF's on this ribbon, got the smite up just in time, looking to contest for this. They're going to kite back down towards the mid lane, preparing that gold card. That's the initial death sentence. TF's going to come in now, looking for a little bit more damage to get the two-man shockwave. Glacial Fissure comes across, a line in the sand drawn by Luna, but he has to flash away. TF chasing after, but gets caught by the Hextech Automator. Nowhere to run, nowhere to go. 3 down the side of SBTC.
They get the Rift Herald, but they lose the fight 3-0. That's going to be a big win here for ROLSTER Y. And I think the question on my mind is, why did SBTC opt to keep going? They've gotten the steal. They were clearly in no condition to fight. But I think, you know what I think here, Brandon?
What do you think,
They didn't realize that Yunero died. I didn't. Did you notice that Yunero died?
Was he dead?
Let's pay attention to the team fight right now. Let's look at the team. That's Yunero.
Okay.
Now you see him. Now you see him. Now you don't.
Oh
Where did he
my
go?
goodness.
He just got evaporated. He's still behind. He doesn't have items. And he overdives yet again. Not on the Darius, but the song remains. He dives in. He gets destroyed. And SBTC, I don't think they realized. They just kept going. And they obviously lost it from behind.
That's the pain of the Blade of the Rune King first item.
My goodness,
right?
he
Blade
went
of the Rune
for
King
Bog.
first item, you're not going to be able to stay
0-3 and he went for Bog, saved him.
I love when you ask questions rhetorically, because I can't give you an answer for them. Maybe our AD might have a better chance for that.
It's alright, because we do see Rift Herald popped right now. This is all or nothing.
They find the initial hook onto Salem, but difficult to find much more layered on CC because ROLSTER Y, they have the Unbreakable, they have the shielding. Target's gonna go down. SBTC at least find something for their troubles.
They find something, and it's a big something. Getting mid of the turret, especially against a TF who needs the space to rotate, who needs the space to security. Pushes away, Destiny gate away. The problem is they lose so much on side lanes, they lose waves, and it's gonna be a solo bolo again, I think.
Yunero's barely gonna be able to survive. Gets back on the turret, but he's losing in life to the Ignite.
Yeah, he has no barrier, by the way. I don't know if Ratel realized this. Maybe that's why he was hesitant to die. He was afraid of getting barrier baited, but it was still a couple of seconds.
I mean, even then, is it worth it at this point? He's only 3.
Dive him.
You know, you probably might have to use flash or something. He's like, that's not worth it. I don't have to use my flash. I'm gonna save it for something else.
I like the cautious mindset that you're coming in here with, but I think with the way this game's playing out, with how dominant it's been, just send it. It's about sending a message. It's about breaking his mental. And I think Ratel, you know, he can't really just keep it up.
And we're starting to see the same issue we saw from SBTC in that first game.
They're trying to trade.
They are trying to trade. They like to play cross-map, but because of that, it also feels like their lane management, their wave management has been problematic. They've been having a lot of difficulty having Yunero hold the silent. Look at this, just effectively giving a turret away, not able to defend it at all.
The problem is there are attempts to trade, but it's too little, too late. They're coming in so far behind. Yunero cannot do anything. This could be a potential two-line.
That's the initial shockwave. They get the lockdown. They get the kill on the Doe, but that's only one kill. No How much more are they trying to invest for this? Glacial Fissure's going to come across. Salem just dashes back, stand behind him. He gets away for free.
Gets away for free. He has to use the Glacial Fissure. I think he's going to be happy with that one, considering they get close to 2 turrets here. You know, Ratel, he can just come over with the wave, kick it in the face once, and that's going to be a tier 2 turret. All the solo gold funneling over to him as well. So let's not think of it as they built to get the turret. Let's think of it as ROLSTER Y investing in Ratel picking up that solo gold in the future.
Okay. I like that framing. Positive Omo now. You're reformed.
I'm reformed, definitely. And I think the problem is, as SBTC, they didn't come into this reform. They didn't prepare this stuff. And it looks like, you know, they're playing things which they were playing in C-Champs. I know I hop on this a lot. This game, it's not working yet again. What's the issue?
So is this actually a problem, or has ROLSTER just come in too prepared against it?
Not just ROLSTER, right? We saw the same situation yesterday. Darkun figured out the answer here as well. I feel like SBTC, it's not over for them just yet. They have options in this game. They have TF as a potential carry. They have Julie as a late game carry. They have the options. So let's say they lose this game. There's still a chance for them to come out with the potential 13 as well. They could just figure out what's going on.
But SBTC is one of those teams that, you know, oftentimes is described as an intelligent team, teams that are able to adapt pretty well.
We'll have to see that. We'll have to see that. I'm not going to follow up at that point because I've been burned before, but we'll have to see how it plays out. I like the plays coming in here from ROLSTER Y. I like using the depth to just catch waves. Now, people like to describe ROLSTER Y as a slow team. I don't think that that's the case. I think they're just a very methodical team. Oh, lots of people.
I will fight them.
But they're not a slow team. They're just very methodical. And they're not being pushed to the macro limits this game, which allows them to look like a fast-paced team.
I like seeing them fight around these objectives. I love their dragon fights more than anything else. The top side half of the fights, they're pretty nice, but I love it when they play to the bottom side. I don't know what it is about them, but they just make it look so good.
They do. Every team fight from ROLSTER Y has looked really good, and I'll tell you why. It's because Ratel has been finding these amazing flanks, brilliant angles, and he comes into every team fight and is destroying your backline. I'm pretty sure after the series, we're not going to see Kiral be very happy. He's been getting picked off every fight for Ratel, and I can blame him when the opponent barrel laner is this far ahead. I like the play here to use the Herald.
Get away for free. Riptide's going to be expanded in the mid lane, trying to invest something to make it an unworthy trade for ROLSTER, but it's so good as they collapse in on SBTC. Nothing much they can do. Kiral, like you mentioned, Ratel has been on him time and time again.
Look, I know I should be sad because our SEA representatives are losing yet again, but I'm just so impressed by ROLSTER Y. Look at the way they approach the team fight. Ratel from the left, I think it was Isaac from the right, they just had completely cornered, there's nowhere to run, and they just a clean house.
What did I tell you about those dragon fights, Omo?
Very good stuff, very clean stuff.
Those also going to get the Ocean Drake while all that chaos was happening as we load up the Axe Effect replay.
Look at Ratel, he always finds these angles, and I think if your team rapid fight hates ROLSTER Y, you better be prepared to identify these angles, ward it out, and prevent him from finding it. That just basically won the entire team fight. He couldn't kite front to back with the Ori ball, and that's what we talked about. If Camille gets a hit, your zoning, your arm's length initiative with the ball, it's all gone.
In the first game, when we got to this state, you told me SBTC had to just go next and look for a better way to play out against that game better.
But when you're on a match point, you can't really say go next.
So what happens now? What does SBTC
They have a win condition, and that is Riven Orianna. You need to get the late game, play under the turrets, and play front to back. Riven Orianna. Maybe it's this. Okay, it's just a flash.
Initial engage comes through. Yunero gets locked down. Salem still very tanky. Has Gargo still play. TF loses so much health so quickly. Ratel teleports in now. Tactical sweep barely misses out the kill, but a little bit more damage with the Ignite. He gets the shield from the Dark Passage and barely survives.
Oh my goodness, they threw everything at TF right there, and he barely survived. They use the teleport, they use multiple ultimates, the Ignite as well, and he stays alive. But, you know, it's just consolation prizes right now for the side of SBTC. It's good that they're slowing down the pace of the game. And if you look at the goal, it's not unwinnable like it was in last game. I'm going to give you a bit of hopium here. I'm going to give you a bit of hopium and say that it's still winnable if Orianna and, you know, Riven get one more item. Let's say 3 items. They take a team fight, play front to back. Don't let Ratel destroy your entire backline. And I think Yunero, he needs to find a new role for himself. He's no longer the engager. He needs to play mocking.
I'm a little worried here. I'm a little worried that if I start taking copium now, by the time I get to playoffs, I'm going to be hooked up.
Oh, don't worry, because the way things are going, SBTC won't be there with us.
Oh, that is terrifying. Right?
It's a terrifying talk.
Southeast Asia, despite how strong they've been touted going into the Horizon Cup, started off day one, not with the best performance. Didn't win a series. Won 1 game in the Secret series. Now going up against ROLSTER Y. We're looking to see if they can change that. Find Southeast Asia their first one.
Fine. I think this is the third turret of the game here for the side of SBTC. They're gonna face check though. I feel like this Death Brush might actually work out. Look at Akeno, he's playing around the lantern.
They're dodging away from it. Go Khan, locked and loaded. Once again onto TF. That's the primary target you want this on. Belly gets away. Glacial Fissure committed as well.
Yeah, I like the discipline here from ROLSTER Y. They say our team comp wants to play you with our pick spells. If we hit Go Cut and we go one-shot you, there's no need for us to over-engage. We can back off, do it all again. We chunked you out, we're gonna choke you out. There's nowhere you can walk right now that you are safe in your entire top side. And ROLSTER Y, what do we say? Discipline, macro-oriented, all the good stuff, all the positive buzzwords. They do it all methodical as well. Execution has been clean from them. I love that they're not feeling a need to over-engage. They're playing for the dub, and it looks like they might just get it.
just one step closer to the win condition. But despite all the criticism we've had for SBTC up until this point, they really aren't that far behind in gold.
Yeah, they really aren't, right? It's just 3,000 gold, maybe 4,000 if you talk about it, if you think about it.
And the biggest gold gap is in that top lane.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I was going to say. The problem is, the goal is in the pockets of the person that you want it in. Ratel's the one who's going to take over this game. From the start, we said Ratel, both player and champion, completely can shut down the team comp of SBTC here. He's doing it. He's set up for success. He has 3 items as well. Starex Gauge, Death Dance. How are you going to die with these items?
Destiny's going to be used to get some insight on where SBTC are to position themselves around that Infernal Drake. They want to sneak that one away, but it's going to be difficult.
Looks like it's
Isaac
gone to me. The
has
setup
been
is just too bad.
so good using his ultimate to just get vision and reposition.
He gets vision, he repositions, he recognizes his job. It's very simple. I need a go-kart to set my team up. Yunero might get caught though.
They need to force something here. Akeno's looking for an entry, looking for an angle. That's TF trying to dash in first. The Dragon's going to go over to Doe. Engage not there. They get the lockdown onto Ratel, but the shielding is going to be too strong. Yunero coming in with the flank. Gets locked down, taken out by the Camille. His counterpart has been there to take him down time and time again. As the gold card comes in, flies across the map, takes down Akeno. TF there to kite for his team. Blocking, building space. They get the death sentence to lock down onto Isaac. This could be the turnaround that they need. Akeno still very tanky. Looking for the death sentence again. Goes on to Salem, but the health boss dropping low on SBTC. They don't have an angle to return on this. Ratel's joining into the fight. He's been out of commission for a while now. They bought enough time for Ratel to come back in, and that means that ROLSTER clean things up with the ace.
Granted, that might be the game here. They're gonna base because what are they gonna do? They're gonna get TPs. Okay, you know what? They're pinging the Baron.
All right,
okay, let's calm down a notch here. I thought they were gonna swap the TPs, go mid for the end, but they're taking it down a notch. And look at this team fighting. It's amazing. They flow like water. They kite back. They identify the target. They one-shot the connected. And look at the call right now. They say, let's play this slowly. Let's take a step forward. Play around on spells. Move our spells down there coming in the counter engage. Let's back off. Let's take 2 steps back. 1 step forward. 2 steps back. 1 step forward. And this discipline that we're seeing out of ROLSTER Y, it's amazing. I love their team fighting. It's so insanely good. And look at Doe, the man who's doing right now. I think he has Bloodthirster. He's life stealing insanely ridiculous amounts of health, and he just keeps walking forward, step by step. They take the team fight, and I love what we're seeing out of ROLSTER Y.
What did I say, Omo? I love seeing them play around those dragons.
Brilliant.
The way they dance around those objectives, it just seems like they're built for it.
They're just built different, a bit constructed differently, you can say. And I think if you look at the items right now, Ratel, he's close to the Guardian's Angel. You have the Solari on Doe as well. What can he really do, right? We talked about the win condition being 3 items for SBTC, but that was assuming for the Gold League to not balloon the way it has.
Double the last time we just talked about it, just a few moments ago.
Look,
from 3
you
to
see
4,000
4
to
players.
8,000.
4 players on the side of SBTC just walked up to their barrel lane to share farm. That's pretty much all you need to know about this team.
We won't be able to respond to much more on that other parts of the map as well. Mid lane collapsed in. ROLSTER Y. They hear the call, time of death for SBTC.
Yeah, look at that. You dash into him, you try to stun him, the shield keeps him safe. No shield breaker mechanic from Renekton here, and he kicks you for half your health. Not much Yunero can do, and the win condition really needs to be Julie. But what can Julie really do against these Baron buff minions? He can't stall the game anymore. Akeno, look at how he's positioning. He's desperate for a hook. They're desperate for a pick.
Good attempt so far to use Shockwave in the column to clear out that mid wave. They also jump onto Ratel, forcing the back away, so they continue to hold on to inhibitors.
Okay, they live to see another day. They get one more shot at this. Now keep in mind, what's coming up next? It's Mountain Dragon Soul yet again, and you're gonna get the next Baron around the same time as well. With these 2 factors, ROLSTER Y, they can really close out this game. Gold League approaching 10K very rapidly, a little bit too rapidly.
It is going to be that Elder Mountain Drake. Additionally, I kind of want to bring in Ratel because now he has that Guardian Angel. He needs to be killed twice. You had a tough time killing him once before. Now try and do it 2 times.
I have nothing to say about that. That's just a little bit depressing to me. I mean, I think Ratel at this point, he can do whatever he wants, but he won't. And that's why ROLSTER Y is so good, because they are disciplined, they are methodical. They cross their T's and they dot their I's, they do what they need to, they don't take anything more. They just do what they need to do to win the game. And that's what we're seeing now. This is desperation for SBTC, but ROLSTER Y, they're well aware. They know where they can and cannot be on the map. They know where the danger zones are. They wait patiently for the package, and what are we gonna do? You can't camp us!
Ratel coming in now, like we mentioned, he has a Guardian
And Julie
Angel.
gets
Watch
sold.
out for Luna, because he dives into the back line, but he's gonna get taken down. He has a Guardian Angel as well, so he still has a second chance of life. Akeno gets brought up by the gold card, which goes across Yunero. He's tanky, but not tanky enough, not enough to impact this team fight. Tries to body block, tries to protect his team, but the rest of them will fall. Julie, the next one to go down, is just down to Kiral and Yunero.
All right, I can tell you what SBTC need to do in the next game. Ban Graves. Let's start with that, and we'll see how it goes.
The hypothetical next game.
The hypothetical next game, because now every game that they've lost, 4 games, right, including this one, has had a Graves in it. Either they play that or they lose against it. So Graves seems to be a clear issue. And using my big brain theory crafting, I can tell you that Graves counters the entire Champions Pool of TF. So get rid of it.
So there we go, that's your answer. Results-based analysis will tell you that
We've
Graves
got
is
the
a great
stats. We've got the stats.
We've got the stats backed up.
They have a 100% loss rate when Graves is in the game. So
Okay.
get him out.
In a sample size of 4, right? Just to get you.
That's a pretty big one.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to this game, I think we're very impressed with what we're seeing. I think Ratel, these guys have stood out amazingly for me. But everyone on the team has done what they needed to do. And that's what I love to see in these teams. They do their job, they play their role, and you're gonna get the dub.
Roster's gonna stop the Baron. It's down to 2,000. It's finished off before Esgolds can even come in, and it just feels like this is the final breath of SBTC fighting around the blue buff in their own jungle. Nothing much they can do. Yunero might just get taken out here. Instead, ROLSTER Y just content taking down Kiral and Akeno.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. They feel no need to overplay their hand. They know they have to win. They'll take
coming in now. ROLSTER, they're working on the base.
They're working on the base, but they won't be working for very long.
An easy pickup for them as they take down TF. The ribbon pickup hasn't quite worked out for them, but Ratel looks so good. It doesn't matter what he's playing. This Camille's gonna bring them that series win.
Yeah, Ratel, I think that this man is definitely the man of the series for me. No questions asked. But I have to compliment everyone on the side of ROLSTER Y. Look, I love that. I love that, and I think that ROLSTER Y, I mean, the players know their role, they have a clear goal and draft, they execute on that in game, they don't overplay their hand. What more can I say? Everyone does their job. That's my favorite kind of team.
And it just feels like SBTC coming in here have been stagnant and haven't been able to evolve. Even as we took a look at Team Secret. Team Secret has always been a team that has been known to play wild stuff. They've been able to come in with different kind of ideas, and even then, still showcasing that in the competition.
Brandon, if tomorrow you see SBTC come in and they start banning Graves, you'll know who they have to tank.
Okay. Statistically proven.
We'll find out tomorrow.
If they ban away that Graves.
Yeah. I mean, I think just an amazing performance coming out here for ROLSTER Y. We had questions, right? We heard that they were improving a lot in scrims, but we didn't see it for ourselves until today. And I think with a performance like that, they'll be very happy coming into the Horizon Cup.
Exactly, because they have so far been playing more or less in a vacuum, but ROLSTER Y coming in here today to the Horizon Cup. In that first game of day number 2, they've shown us a form that is comparable to some of the best.
Yeah, and I think I want to touch a little bit here really quickly on regional matters. Knowing that 2 SEA teams came into this event, I think it's fair to say they've been scrimming against each other, and that's why you see the Lee Sin priority from both Team Secret, from both SBTC. And I think that Lee Sin pick has been figured out. Teams have the answer to it now. A lot to answer in terms of draft, in terms of gameplay, but I think let's start from that. Let's start from Lee Sin, let's start from Graves, and let's break it down from there.
I absolutely love the player taking pictures at the end of the game.
So cute.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And even at the start of it, when they were going into game and getting ready, they were so prepared and they were so focused. I would say dead set on that win.
Grandin was trying to talk to the players in the dressing room, but you could tell they were having none of it.
I wouldn't put it that way. They were getting ready, they were warming up.
I'm twisting the narrative a bit.
You're kind of twisting it a little bit. Right, hopefully you don't twist the narratives for the stats that you're kind of giving me right now. We'll see how that turns out. ROLSTER Y coming into the competition have showcased a very impressive first set. And I think that's answered the questions for a lot of our analysts. So we're going to toss it back over to them and see what they think of the litmus test for SBTC and what this means for the rest of the competition. So back over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you, Big G and Omo. We saw a lot of emotion there from Luna when they won, and you're getting to see a lot of emotion here from TJ.
What?
TJ.
Yeah?
You okay?
I'm doing better than SBTC.
Well, do you remember how good you felt October 20th with the tweet on the screen that was over there?
You know, I remember that time fondly. It was a time when SBTC were one of the best teams I'd ever seen play Wild Rift. It was a time when I'd cast them win regionals. They looked coordinated, deadly. I'd say they'd beat your favorite team in 15 minutes or less.
And now, it's not quite the same, is it, Scoundrel?
No, KT, Korean dominance. I for one, welcome our new Wild Rift overlords here in the Horizon Cup. And it was a bloody good performance. They played really, really well. I think they had SBTC's number. They really funneled resources to top side of the map, Baron side of the map. And Ratel was the name of the game once more. He was solo killing Yunero. Look, I know Yunero didn't have the performance of his career in this series, but Ratel certainly did. We hyped this guy up like crazy, and he absolutely popped up. He delivered on that hype, and it's very rare, I think, when you're casting esports that the caster curse doesn't strike you. This time, we got the caster blessing. Absolute monster on the Camille this time round, was the real catalyst for this team. But I don't want to just talk about Ratel either, TJ. Luna, for me, was really surprising. I think he had a great series too.
Yeah, this is one of the picks that we've seen a lot of Luna play on during the WC or the local Korean league. They played very, very well around the presence of that Corki and in that bottom lane. So seeing Luna get to step up and bring that international and play these team fights as he did regionally, hovering in the middle of them, pumping out very good sustained damage, and most critically, finding these really good defensive packages. We saw some package play yesterday that was wild and rifty, and here today, we got to see some really clever use of that kind of wall of fire, setting up team fights, setting up a place that the other team just can't go through without getting their HP shredded.
Yeah, and I think, but whilst we hype up Luna, it really was all about Ratel Digon. That man lived up to the hype. I'm so glad he got to show himself on the international stage. I think looking into the further games of ROLSTER Y, we were expecting much more targeted bans towards the guy in the Baron lane.
Well, perfect transition there for us, Scoundrel. It's time for our Oppo player of the series, and who else? Ratel. Yeah, TJ, it was fantastic. You had Ratel rated highly. Let's hear your thoughts.
I mean, we came into this series talking about Ratel being the star player for KT. Here it is.
Yeah, there it is.
They give him the gold in the top lane, and he takes over the game. Over and over and over again. And it's very rare, or it was very rare, to see teams play towards the top side of the map. This tournament, that's coming into meta. That's beginning to be the defining trend of the Horizon Cup, and that puts KT in a very good position.
Yeah, hey, did it on the Ribbon, swapped on over to the Camille, didn't step a beat, and again, flanks was scary. It was great there. Scoundrel, you got thoughts here?
I just want to highlight some of the stats you're seeing in your screen. 25% average damage share across 2 games with like a 75% KP. That is a very, very impressive stat for a Baron laner who traditionally, much like the League PC counterparts, are often left on islands a little bit more than not. That is ridiculous. Like, this guy is an absolutely amazing player, and I think got a very bright future ahead of him in Wild Rift.
And I think it really speaks to, again, the way that ROLSTER were playing that series. I think there are teams that understand what their strengths are, and that's what we're seeing here. ROLSTER know who their best players, they know how to give them gold, they know how to enable them.
Oh, ROLSTER take the win in game number 1. And as we step away for a second, check out TSM's fan-voted anthem, Levanta e Anda by Emicida e Real. And the rest of the teams competing at Horizon Cup on the official Horizon Cup playlist on Spotify.
beginning.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great. The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.